Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti.
And don't you just love how I brought in our studio audience today? Those are my friends and family, y'all. They're here to clap it up and celebrate this great girlfriend magic that is happening here on the show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy.
Listen, great girlfriends. I got a treat. I got the sweetest candy treat here with us today. Michelle Williams. Michelle, do you want me to read this amazing bio?
If you want to, but y'all, I'm a girl from Rockford, Illinois, honey. So, we sang a few songs, sang Survivor a little, but just come on, girl, we girlfriends.
I may or may not have sang some songs with you. I don't know. I mean, if you look back over the footage, Michelle, if you look real good, I'm in the back with my little doo-wop.
You so funny. I told you that picture we took at Essence Fest a couple years ago, we looked like we could have been the Clark sisters or something.
We were a full worship team.
Full on worship team. Full on. And let me tell you something. I really pray by next year, we're all on that stage together again. And I think they're going to have, even on the main stage, they're going to have some worship on there because, folks, we're going to be so excited to be together. I think on that main stage, we need some praise and worship.
A whole experience.
We need a whole experience so the whole dome is on one accord.
Because listen, what we've been through, what we've overcome, what some of us are still going through.
Yes.
Like that never would have made its spirit. I feel like we'll be hovering over the place. Ooh, and yes. I feel like we need to have a whole church service.
Yes, we do.
Just full worship. I gotta say that, and speaking of that Essence Festival, I don't know if you were there then. Were you there the night? I think that opening night was the Roots. And I remember everyone was exiting the dome. I think we were exiting the dome. And then Kirk Franklin came out with singers. Did you catch that? Girl. So it was a whole night of the Roots, right? The Roots had brought on Jill. They had Erica. They brought, oh my God, Pharrell was on. Everybody thought the night was over and Kirk came out.
I bet you everybody ran right back in their seats. Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Kirk came out and closed out the night in worship. And I was like, yo, this could not have had a doper ending. Like this, it was so epic. It was epic. And then the next day we got on stage and then we fake praise and worship with you and Keisha Bottoms.
Yes.
Shout out to Kim Blackwell, who is the plug and who did a really great job of bringing us all together.
Absolute plug. Yeah.
Absolute plug. So Michelle, but prior to being on stage with you at Essence Festival and even following you on social media, all the stuff, obviously I've known about your career for a very long time as you are a Grammy award-winning artist and one of the group members of Destiny's Child. And you just, Michelle, have this electrifying spirit. I got to tell you, more than anything, there's that sparkly light, it's a twinkle, right? And it's like, you've got this twinkle, Michelle. And when I read your story and when you started to share so much about the things that you were weathering through, I was like, look at the light of God on this woman's life, because you twinkled and shined and shimmered and glittered. And your spirit looked so bright, right? And so I want to get into this story because I think your book is so important. And I think you asked one question, 3 words changed your life from what I read and understand. And I saw you were planning your funeral. And I'm just like, look at how God shielded you. Look at how much grace was on you to weather and to endure to get to this place that we're at, which is a sweet spot where you can tell people about what you didn't know behind the face, what you didn't know behind the dance. So I really want to get into that, Michelle. How? Well, I know how, but I want you to talk through the how of it, Michelle.
So, you know what, there are moments where, at least I'll just speak for me. I was just going through a time where I just felt hopeless. Yeah. I felt like, then I also felt like, it's like I was playing Let's Make a Deal with God. I was like, well, God, I've lived a good life. I don't know. You can't possibly have more for me. And I'm ready to go.
Mm.
And I was sitting there like, wow. I wrote stuff in my memo pad in my iPhone. And I just remember like, okay, I'm going to leave my iPhone unlocked so that when they come and see me, they'll see my plans. And I was like, and when I look back, people feel like the act of suicide is selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the other part that's selfish is telling somebody to plan your funeral.
Right.
You decided to check out.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I was like, do you know what, as with a sober mind,
yeah,
and a healed mind, I'm like, wow, I really was finna tell my family orchids only. Now, Sybil, I'm gonna just keep it real at 100. I still want orchids now. Just, hey, that's 8 years from now, though.
For the
80 years from now.
Right,
for the record. Also, for the record, you should have legal stuff in place, just for the record.
Right.
But that's just to store in your vault. Or what they call in your safe, or old folks be like, my life insurance papers is in this drawer right here. That's for 80 years from now. 80 years from now. But folks, I still want my orchids. But y'all, I was like, okay, so and so should probably read this scripture. This person, I don't know what kind of songs folks can sing at somebody who's died this way, but y'all figure it out.
Oh my
and it was just, a very tough time where people just feel like they can't go on anymore. They're a burden, just all the things that are really end up being lies of Satan himself. Because there are complete strangers who you could probably have ran, say, I want to take my life. Not only strangers, but family, but there are people who will be, who are more. So don't let the enemy make you feel like you are totally in this zone by yourself.
Right. Because isn't that the trick though? Like those thoughts are isolating. And you oftentimes, like I went through depression. I wrote the note and then I felt so guilty because I was like, I don't want my mom to have to read this and my dad to. And then I felt guilty for feeling that way.
Yeah.
For having what people would say first world problems, but still feeling they were too heavy for me, And, I think those thoughts are so isolating. And if the enemy could get you to have that debilitating space where you're paralyzed and isolate your thoughts and make you feel like they're too, that you should be ashamed of any of what you're feeling, then you won't ever ask for the help that you said when you said, I need help,
Yeah. And those were the 3 words. I need help.
Yeah. How did you know that it was time to ask for help?
Well, when I didn't feel with myself, I'm a homebody. I love being by myself.
Yeah.
Which is the Lord got to work with me on that because I really love being home.
Yeah.
And, but when I didn't feel safe with what is normally my sanctuary, I was definitely like, yeah, you need to call your therapist. And that's what I did. And we got on the phone and started Googling various treatment facilities. And we found one that I thought, was appropriate. And I drove myself there. And the funny thing is, I thought I was stable, but when I was stable enough, obviously, to drive.
Yeah.
But when I got there, they were like, yeah, we want to keep you. We want to keep you a while. And so I checked in, went through intake. And, as I write in the book, I don't recall even, I won't go into too much detail, but I checked in, Yeah. Yeah.
That's a brave moment too. That is a very brave moment. And I feel like, all of us have these opportunities in life where we get an invitation to show up brave for ourselves and show up strong for ourselves in a way that most people wouldn't feel as strong. Most people feel like, oh my goodness, you must be at your weakest to have to ask for help. I think you're at your strongest when you can ask for help. I
Yes.
do, because that's an honest, most vulnerable place to say, I need someone to hold my hand. I need someone to talk me through. And like you said, like not feeling safe with yourself, that's a key. That's really key. And I hope that someone listening can hear and understand that that's okay. It's okay. The
Yeah.
best thing we could do is acknowledge that I don't feel safe with myself and I need help.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I know what that feels like. So Michelle, even in this process though, we now understand that the shame, the hurt, even some of the humiliation is tied to it. All these deceptors are all like the enemy's way of trying to keep us down, try to keep you down and try to silence or mute you. Did you ever feel like you were in a space where sharing your story would make you look a certain way or make you feel vulnerable to people in a different way?
Absolutely. Like, what will people think? Will my opportunities look different now? Will people not call me anymore? I don't know. But there is a remnant of people who need this message, and my focus needs to be on those who feel hopeless, but to let them know, there is hope, and it does get better, and it might require you having to, pick yourself up. It might require that. But then knowing that, okay, God, you're going to give me one or two people that can just help me on my path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Always. I feel like that always happens. And I'm so grateful for the people that helped me on my path and have helped you on your path. And this brave, big moment that you've had now in writing this book, was it like you were at the grocery store and was like, yo, I'm gonna do a book? Was it a group text? Was it like a shower moment?
You say what, hon?
What was the moment where you said, okay, it's time to put this on paper?
I think it was just a phone call that I made to someone on my team. Mm-hmm. And I knew that 2019 was a year where I didn't work much. I think I worked 4 times that year, and it just gave me the time to journal and just write and just see what would happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this happened.
This happened 2 years later.
Okay, so let's talk about this intersection of faith and mental health. You know, I grew up a church girl. I know that you grew up a church girl. And I know one of the things people will tell you is to pray it away. Yes. And if you just pray it away, it'll all get better.
Yeah.
And if you just, pray hard enough and go to church enough and sit at the feet of the Father enough, that things will get better. But many of us have found that God has put other people in place as resources to be able to support. So what have you learned about faith and mental health?
Ooh, well, I've been saying this quote probably every day for the past month, and it's by Dr. Anita Phillips.
Oh, I love her.
Oh, honey, she freed me when she said, prayer is a weapon, therapy is a strategy.
Woo, that's good. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, matter of fact, I ordered the t-shirts from her website. That y'all, I did not do the quote, Dr. Anita Phillips.
Yes.
So when you're feeling, and like she's a minister and a psychologist, if I'm not mistaken, or she's a therapist for sure. She's a trauma-based therapist. But she has a she's something. She got her doctorate in
she's
something.
She's a doctor of something. Yeah, I forgot, but she's brilliant. Love her.
Yeah. And so I love hearing people of faith to also be able to say, okay, and even back it up with scripture.
Yes.
She's absolutely amazing. And so that kind of freed me to where I don't even, not that I even had a worry about what people, now I will say, yes, in the beginning, I definitely felt like a hypocrite because I was like, well, I don't want people to be like, well, I definitely don't want to believe in God if it's going to cause depression, but those were the only things that I thought of. But what gave me great consolation is when you begin to study the Bible again and how there were so many people processing grief and shame and all sorts of things that could take a toll on one's mental health. And I said, God still used them. Then what makes me think that he won't take my story and give beauty for ashes as well? So, yeah.
A beauty for ashes is a soothing and beautiful space to be in.
Yes.
So, Michelle, tell me about some of the things that you do now, like some practical things you do to just keep yourself at peace and to keep your harmony and your body and create a sense of well-being.
Well, I think the next thing as it relates to mental health, we've got to get people, let's normalize boundaries. Let's normalize setting them, and then let's normalize and respecting someone else's boundaries that they have in place. Because just because I have boundaries, that other person has to learn to adapt to the boundaries that I set. And vice versa, me having to adapt to someone else's boundaries as well. So I think that that's okay. Me setting boundaries means I love you, but I love me too.
Right. And that's got to be okay. That should be good for people. People should love and understand that.
And even setting boundaries to yourself. Me, you know what? Okay, these are my boundaries. After 7 p.m. at night, I'm not going to look at text messages and emails. Because really there really shouldn't be an emergency like that. It's like, and if there is it really that urgent? So it's just certain boundaries I have to set with myself. Like, you know what? Maybe there's certain conversations that I'll have to excuse myself from. And just, there are just certain things where I feel like I'm so self-aware that even this morning, I was like, no, you really got to, you got to really be intentional about prayer right now. So that's just, but how do I do that? Is because I had to set boundaries to extract meaningless things in my life that were taking the place of what really matters. And then the fun part of self-care is making sure that, I'm listening to good music, taking walks. Self-care isn't always about bubble baths, but man, if that's all you can do, and if it's for free, honey, if you got to put dishwashing liquid in your bathtub to get bubbles, do what you got to do. If it's soothing to your soul, that warm water over you, or, and I know some of us, we don't like to take a shower, but I know Mama, you said, stop taking long showers. People in Africa don't have water. And here you are just, but every now and then take a little extra minute. Let that water just, kind of soothe your soul.
Yes. No, that's so important. And you also talked about releasing toxic thought patterns, and the joy that births from that.
Absolutely. You know what? We have about 70,000 thoughts per day, I believe, that come in our mind. And we can't control all of those thoughts, but I'm wondering if we can grab hold and control how we respond to those thoughts. And sometimes you might even have to laugh at some of those thoughts, like, wow, because where do thoughts come from? Something that you see right now, previous circumstances or experience that helped cultivate certain thoughts. You can have an instant thought of someone cutting you off in traffic. That's before you know it, you're thinking, why would they do that? Couldn't they put their blinker on? Or why were they so impatient? Those are all thoughts and questions. So once again, so you almost can't really help the thoughts that you have, but I would say the responses to the thoughts. I'm wondering if we can get a better handle on how we respond to those thoughts, and then not believe every thought that comes in your mind. I believe that thoughts are planted by the enemy, and some are planted by the Holy Spirit. We just have to learn which is who. Now, we already know the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but God said he comes that we might have life. Right? So it's knowing, okay, this thought, is it to steal, kill, or destroy, or does it bring life? And I think that's how a person can discern where a thought is rooted from. And then you can know how to respond to it.
Yeah, that's so good. One of the gifts I gave myself many moons ago that I still operate in, one of my highest gifts, I think, is the gift to choose. And, once upon a time, I thought I had to respond the way I was trained, the way I was raised, the way I immediately felt. Whatever that first thought was, you was going to get it. You were going to catch that clap. And when many moons ago, with wisdom, I learned that I have a choice in how I respond. I can choose higher. I can choose different. I can choose greater. I can choose not. There are so many different things that you can do. And I learned, Michelle, that so many people don't feel like they have choice. They feel like they are confined to one response, which is the one that's going to protect them, or the one that's going to keep them from being hurt, or the one that's going to make them look the best. But when you go through enough and you gain enough wisdom, you learn that you have the power to choose the most empowering choice. You can choose your response based off of your highest intent, which is like the greatest amount of wisdom that God has given.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
That's so good.
It's such a game changer. And the power of choice. And that goes back to what you said about setting those boundaries and redefining terms. We get to set our terms and conditions. We don't have to take leftovers. We don't have to take, inferior positions in people's lives and inherit, even the generational things that we may have adapted from our families. All those toxic thought patterns, when you learn how to choose high and get enough wisdom, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, it was.
Come on, girl.
Girl, I'm telling you, I felt, because that frees you to say no. When everybody wants you to say yes, you could go no with a smile.
Yeah. With a smile. And as they say, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain why you made a certain decision.
Yes.
Because some of us are just worn out because we are people pleasing. And then we got to even get to everything has a root. And it's like, well, let's get to the root of why you think you have to people please. Right. And the majority of that comes from because all your life you've had to perform for love. You've had to perform for acceptance. And the only way you could get love or acceptance is by overextending yourself and doing for people. Girl. Well, if I do this, then that means they'll do that. Yeah. If I do this, he'll love me. If I get straight A's, mama will pay me more attention. So you found yourself probably doing that as a child. Right. Trying to get love or trying to get certain emotional needs met. And it's followed you into even adulthood.
I'm telling you. And the systems are set up that way, even in careers and corporations.
Yes. Performance. Everything is, perform.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. And being has to be enough for us when it comes to self-love, when it comes to acceptance.
Yes, absolutely.
It's being, right?
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about this. I love this because, I read where you said a beautiful life comes from living honestly. And, that's that unveiling, Michelle, and that's not easy for people. I know a lot of women who are listening who may feel like, unveiling will mean they're exposed, and exposed will mean that they're vulnerable to, criticism and all the stuff that everyone wants to run from, right? How did you learn to live honestly, unapologetically, and vulnerably, and it kind of exposed and still feel safe and supported and feel beautiful?
Woo, you know what? I don't know if it's how I was raised or where I was from, the great sensibility to me of being from the Midwest and family that still keeps you humble. And I get excited when I get to go home and see my family. But I don't know, it's just people appreciate the authenticity of a person. They can almost smell when something is contrived. Now, unless your thing is a character, when that's fine, because there are some people that's their livelihood. They are a character, and you're almost surprised when you get to see the real them, right? But I think in what I do, people want the real you. You know what I mean? And so I believe, I've been able to give the real me, the imperfect, flawed me. I didn't come in, even, when I first entered Destiny's Child, I didn't have media training. I didn't have any of that. I was kind of learning as we were going. It was kind of like I was shadowing Beyonce and Kelly, kind of learning as we were going. And I think that's how I was able to maybe just, it was a little rough around the edges, but as time went on, started refining. It's kind of like there are areas where you can be yourself, but some parts of you need to be refined and
that's good.
pulled in just a tinge. Not a lot, but just knowing how to act in the White House.
Yeah.
Knowing how to act, but also knowing how to act in the trap house.
No, I'm just playing.
At the barbecue. You know what I mean.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Etiquette and protocol. Yes. Time and place, as my aunt used to say all the time. Time and place.
Come on.
Right.
That's so
time
good.
Time and place for different sides of you to be revealed, right?
It's so good, Sybil. Yes, ma'am. That's it.
Time and place. But that honesty, you know what I realized too, speaking scripturally, of he who the Son sets free is truly free indeed. And I realized I got my freedom when I got honest. I got free. I felt like I could breathe. I felt like oxygen became available. I felt like life became available. I felt so trapped when I was deceiving myself, when I was hiding pain and when I was, masking, when I was doing all the stuff to pretend I was okay. I felt very trapped. I didn't feel honest. I didn't feel free. I felt bound. And when I got that freedom on the inside of me, I just feel like my eyes open. I was brighter. Just felt like I was lifted. I felt invigorated. I felt fresh. I felt fresh, and I felt like you couldn't shame me by anything I've been through because I already talked about that. So if you try to bring up something that happened in college or rape or no, I already said that. I'm free. You can't come and you can't hold me hostage to things because I've been honest. And that for me, I really related to that, how life became more beautiful for you. I relate to that in a big way. Big way. Yeah. Last question.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know now that you wish you would have known, let's say at 19, 20?
What do I know now that I wish I would have known? I think just what I've been learning through therapy and just, I wish I would have learned about unmet needs back then. And I wish I would have learned that no one can fill certain needs at this point in your life except God. There are certain emotional needs there were certain emotional needs as a child that could only have been filled by your parents, right? But now when you get to a certain age, it's like only God can fill those needs. Relationships cannot fill those needs. Career stuff can't fill those needs. I wish I would have, some of the stuff I'm armed with now, I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this information 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
that's such a gift to have that, to give to other women.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's not my last question. Here's my last question.
Yes, ma'am.
I lied to you. Okay, Michelle, what will be the legacy of Michelle Williams?
The legacy of Michelle Williams was hopefully her bravery and desire to just see people whole and healed.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. All right, Michelle, where can everyone go out? Oh, by the way, great girlfriends, we have 10 copies that we're giving away of this book. You want the
amazing book?
Of course, we got to give it. You got to give it.
Thank you, beautiful. Thank you.
Make sure you email welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com to get your complimentary copy of Checking In. Michelle, where can everyone purchase the book?
Let's see. You can go to checkinginbook.com.
Okay, that's perfect.
Or you can even go to Target. At this point, you probably should order them online because at some locations they're sold out. The reason why I like the Target edition too, because it's a limited edition and it comes with a guided journal in the back that no other retailers have.
That's dope. Okay.
But if you go to checkinginbook.com, you can pick whatever retailer you want.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so checkinginbook.com. Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Oh, you know what, Michelle? I do have one more question. I always ask this question for everyone. What do you consider a great girlfriend?
Oh, a great girlfriend, someone that you confide in, that's not judgmental, and y'all are always going to laugh. You're going to have a laughing good time. But I like my girlfriends because we can laugh, but then there are some that can be like, okay, girl, let's pray.
Yeah.
I love a great girlfriend that can even talk you off the ledge to be like, girl, you tripping. Come on back. God's got this. And then we
Right.
go back to laughing about something. So that's what I love
I
about
love
a great
it.
girlfriend.
I love it. Perfect.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
Michelle, thank you for being our great girlfriend. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this.
Absolutely. And thank you for your kindness
making
throughout the
space.
past few years. Yes. Thank you for your kindness throughout the past few years. And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully in New Orleans.
I know that's right.
Next year somewhere.
What a mighty fine
All right.
time it will be.
Come on. It's going to be amazing.
Great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast, into the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_great_GFS. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kwaku, Sam and Dilly, and all of you for being a part of the global community that makes us so strong. Please remember to share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.